Good morning. Today we celebrate Mother's Day as Unitarian Universalists, which means that we celebrate our love for our mothers and all mothers as truly and sincerely as we can, while at the same time recognizing that such celebrations may easily be seen as full of contradictions and complexity. In our closing words today, we will hear Khalil Gibran say, "Your children are not your children." And surely that is a big contradiction. I think a mother has a right to be confused when she's told that the children she gave birth to and takes such trouble to raise are not her children. But at the same time, our children are not only our children. We are part of a generation that is linked to thousands of generations in the past, and we hope many generations to come. The children are always coming, and as Mr. Gibran says, they come through you, but not from you, because life longs for and reproduces itself. Life so much wants to carry on the process of living that it reproduces itself again and again in sheer fecundity and bounty of miracle. Because it is something like a miracle, isn't it? This mystery that runs through us and connects us from generation to generation. Today is Mother's Day again for another generation. Mother's Day started in the United States, you know. It started in a state that doesn't get too much respect these days, West Virginia. It was started by one particular woman, a woman named Anna Jarvis. She lived in Webster, in Taylor County, in West Virginia. And she had a mother named Ann Jarvis. Ann was a social activist, which means that when she saw things in the society that bothered her, that she did not think were right, she became active, eager to do something to make things better. There are a lot of Unitarian Universalists who are social activists. There's something in us that bristles when we see and feel injustice, and we feel compelled to take some action to change things. Anna Jarvis very much admired her social activist mom, Anne. One day in 1876, Anne ended up the Sunday school class that she was teaching by saying this: "I hope and pray that someone, sometime, will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life. She is entitled to it." Strange to think, but it seems that all the work that a mother did was not really appreciated. At least, it was not acknowledged in any real and significant way. When Anna Jarvis talked about the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life, she meant that no one else does so much to make sure that the society works well as mothers do. Without them, where would we get men and women of good character to be teachers and doctors and government officials and business people and social workers and scientists and ministers and civil service workers and grocers and bakers and farmers and every other profession? Although mothers do a large part of the work that aids in forming our character, they do not always get appreciated for it. Ann Jarvis said this, and her daughter Anna believed it. Because of her mother's encouragement, Anna Jarvis went to college. After she graduated, she became a bank teller, a literary editor, and advertising editor in Philadelphia. When her mother got old and started having problems taking care of herself, Anna invited her to join her in her home in Philadelphia. Her mom did move there in 1904 and lived for another year until she died in 1905 on May 9th. 3 years after her mother died, in 1908, Anna Jarvis organized a memorial service to honor her and all mothers at the church she belonged to, which was a Methodist Episcopal church. That was the first time that Mother's Day was ever observed as a memorial service, 116 years ago. That was in Grafton, West Virginia. Because she organized the day so well, the celebration was a great success. It made her want to see her mother's wish come true, that the day would be celebrated everywhere in the country. So Anna Jarvis spent lots and lots of time writing to people she thought were influential enough to make it happen. She wrote to business executives and church groups and politicians. She wrote to people who served in local offices, as well as to people who served at a national level, all to commemorate mothers and all they do to make the world a better place. She did this for almost 6 years, until finally Mother's Day became a national holiday. That happened 110 years ago this year. President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed Mother's Day a national holiday in 1914. Anna Jarvis was so successful in her campaign that in those 6 years of agitating for action, every state agreed to take up the holiday. And foreign countries too, including Canada and Mexico and China and Japan, throughout South America, and even countries in Africa. It shows what one person can do if she works very hard and diligently and doesn't give up. But you probably remember that I said this celebration was full of contradictions and complexity. Here's an example. Anna Jarvis wanted the day to be a memorial, a time set aside to honor the memory of those mothers who loved us, served us, helped to form us, and then died, leaving behind a hole in the lives of those who loved them. But the national holiday honored all mothers, living and dead. And that might have satisfied Anna and made her pleased. But one thing she hated was how commercialized the day became. She did not like the idea of all the flowers associated with the day. Not because she didn't like flowers. She just did not like the practice of the florists who raised their prices as Mother's Day approached. And the candy? Forget about it. She was quoted as saying, "Confectioners put a white ribbon on a box of candy and advance the price just because it's Mother's Day. There is no connection between candy and this day. It's pure commercialism." And what about buying your mom a card, a greeting card from the store? Anna Jarvis said, "A printed card means nothing except that you are too lazy to write to the woman who has done more for you than anyone in the world." And candy, you take a box to Mother and then eat most of it yourself. A pretty sentiment. Well, I suppose the social activist has little patience for commercialism and selfishness. She certainly had strong opinions and did not think it best to keep them to herself. It's sad that she felt so betrayed by what the holiday became, because she was clearly a woman of principle and dedicated much work towards seeing her vision come true. I think that Anna Jarvis did not like the commercial cards, not only because they showed no effort on the part of the one giving them, but also because they are so generic. They don't pick out the qualities that are special about any particular mother, because the language tries to capture the essence of all mothers, and that's a very hard thing to do. It's better if you write your own card, because then your heart and mind are engaged, and you are investing your own energy in coming up with something special that truly captures the spirit of your mom and your feelings for her. But Mother's Day is a hard day for some of us. Those of us who have lost their mothers through death can feel not just grateful to our moms for everything they've done for us, but also sad and lonely, missing a mother whom you would still like to see. From time to time, while I'm washing the dishes or just letting my mind flow when I go for a walk in the neighborhood, I find myself missing my mother and thinking I should give her a call because we have not talked for a long time. A very strange thought to have, considering that my mother died 28 years ago. Still, I'm glad to be here with all of you on Mother's Day because there are lots of folks here who take on the role of mother, another one of the complexities in this day. There are women who always wanted to be mothers, but for one reason or another were not able to see that dream come true. On this day, our thoughts and our love are with them too, because we know the feeling of loss that comes when you set your heart on something and it does not come true. And there are those who were unable to give birth, but were still able to raise children through adoption. I'm sure that's true for some here today. We certainly honor all those moms today who love those children so much that they sought them out and brought them into their homes. And we honor grandmothers, too, who, for one reason or another, have taken on the role of mother again, raising the children of their children as their own. And we honor families with two moms in them, families who have often had to take on the burden of social prejudice, as well as all the other burdens of motherhood. And mothers-in-law as well, despite the jokes we sometimes hear about their role in our lives. Sometimes there is an especially tender bond that develops in that relationship. So today we give thanks for all the labors and joys that mothers have provided for each of us in so many ways. And let's take a moment now to acknowledge and thank those from our religious education program who provide a service of spiritual nurturance on our church's behalf. They provide a sense of safety, guidance, and direction, love, and support. And we are grateful for that. For all mothers everywhere, those still actively mothering, and those for whom the duties and responsibilities have passed, those still with us, and those who have passed on, those who care for children in the home, and those who care for children in the larger society, mothers through blood, mothers through love. We honor you today and express our gratitude for your love and support through the days, the months, and the years. Happy Mother's Day.